Here we go. Yeah. It's time to listen up because this show's about to get you right. Settle in cause you be tuning into what jiu-jitsu life. Getting to the nitty and gritty of what the game's about. What it's really like when you get paid to fight and train for bouts. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it on louder. About to drop some knowledge, yo, it's Drew Dominguez, Shawn, Fowler. About to give it to you straight, y'all, no filler. Pulling no punches, really couldn't get no realer. I'm a flow spiller, recognize that no one's illa. Keep it locked right on this episode because it's gonna be killer. Elite technique with the flows to get you hyped. I thought you knew with Shawn and Drew, the crew of a jiu-jitsu life.
What's up, everybody? Shawn Fowler, 5 Grappling. I am here today in Imperial Beach. 5365 Studios is actually doing a little traveling thing here, and we're doing our restaurant series of a jiu-jitsu life. And I'm here today with my counterpart, Drew Dominguez. What's up?
What's up? Good afternoon.
And we're also here today in the studio with Erik Uresk. How are you, bro?
Sir, good, man. Real good.
So quick shout out. We want to shout out to Gion Grill for hosting us this week. Gion Grill actually has 3 different locations. It's a Chamorro-based Islander restaurant. They are based out of Oceanside, Point Loma, and also Imperial Beach here in San Diego. Great island vibe, always some island reggae music, and come by and check us out. They have amazing Islander food here as well. So we come out here regularly. The owner does train occasionally if we can get him on the mat. And, he's tied in with all of us at Show You Roll and stuff like that. So shout out to Guahan, man. We really appreciate you for hosting us and letting us try some food. What kind of food did you have today anyway?
I had the spicy chicken.
Spicy chicken. How was it?
Chicken. It was really good. Really good.
Awesome, man. I love it. So,
Hey, let's just get into it, man. Tell people a little about yourself, how you ended up in, New York, San Diego,
Yeah, sure.
Thailand.
So I'll give
back
you the
here.
brief travel synopsis. From Long Island, New York originally. I had gotten into, I started my martial arts journey out there as a kid. A bit of a problem child, so martial arts and wrestling basically got me out of the streets, probably likely saved my life, and I started really just pursuing that full out. There wasn't I was did a lot of wrestling there with mostly with a Russian club and then some judo. Had a few fights there. But there was no amateur thing at the time, and the training there wasn't that great. So I made my way out to Vegas, trained with Mark Lehman and Jeff Glover initially for like the first year I was out there. Was at Extreme Couture for about 2 to 3 years.
I was going to say, yeah, because Mark left and went to Texas, so that kind of changed the dynamics out there.
Yeah, so with
Simgo took over his gym and bought that out, so that was a change.
With Shawn Tompkins when he was still with
Shawn,
us.
rest in peace,
and,
man. Dang, missed that dude.
Yeah, so he was my coach for a while. Then I went home, and I was kind of in like a little bit of a floating period. I got a call to come out to San Diego. This is almost 9 years ago now to train.
It was
with
about 9 to 10 at least.
Train with Dominic Cruz and BJ Penn for the Frankie Edgar rematch. And I didn't end up training with BJ, which is actually why I came out here, because I could have given a fuck about training with Dominic at the time. That didn't really mean much to me.
Right.
But BJ was like,
sorry, Dom, we love you, bro.
Dom.
Come on, man.
I'm happy.
He's gonna speak his mind,
Yeah.
man. That's one thing I asked him earlier. Is like, anything you wanna, not talk about. He's like, I'm a book. Talk about anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm
I
glad.
figured you would say that.
I'm
but
glad I
just had
did
to
get to
ask.
train with Dominic, though, and I'll get into a little bit why a little later on. But so I just like the vibe out here. So I had my family ship my car out, and I didn't leave. I stayed here for 4 years.
It's crazy.
Had a good run with Alliance MMA as a fighter and a coach, and went out to Thailand for the past 5 years.
I was going to say, you left to Thailand and went out there and did your thing for a while.
Yeah.
How was that trip?
Oh, it was awesome, man. It was obviously life-changing being out in Asia for 5 years, and we're kind of transitioning from being a fighter to a full-time head coach, and the dynamics that go along with that, living and traveling all over the world. I mean, I've pretty much been everywhere but Africa at this point, and
Awesome.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
Whenever you travel like that, and I've had the opportunity to go all over the world too. How do you feel? What does that make you think about how you get to live here? I mean, as a whole, you know what I mean? Like
you appreciate
do
the
you
US.
do you appreciate what happens here? Because I find that whenever I go to other countries, we are super excessive we don't need 95% of the shit that we have. Like, that's the truth of the matter. And being super excessive, it has its downfalls, right? It really, really does. And I just feel as though we could do without so many other things. And the minimalist lifestyle, which is really starting to catch a wave now, is kind of going back to its roots of where we could really be in the first place.
Well, I'll put it to you like this. So I was really excited to get home. I didn't even know I was coming back to San Diego until about 2 weeks before I came. I had left my position. I decided I didn't want to renew my position in Phuket because I was too comfortable there, right? So I was living very, very comfortable, but I felt like I wasn't pushing myself. So I didn't take any of the job offers that came through after that because I wasn't really excited about any of them. And I said, you know what? I'm not making any decisions. I got enough money in the bank from fight purses that I can kind of cruise for a bit. And
right.
So, yeah, then the calling to come out to San Diego came after about 4 or 5 weeks of being in New York. Like, I bought my ticket and I said, I think I'm going to move there. I had no car, no job, no apartment lined up. And my now wife, we were like, yeah, we're just going to do it. We just feel like that's the move. So that being said, so I'm happy being here in San Diego for right now, but my ultimate goal is to be able to, as my online stuff starts to build, I want to be able to live remotely, you know?
Of course.
It is such a,
right.
There's a lot of convenience in living in America and in San Diego or the better places in America, you know? The places
Agreed.
I like to live, the coastal places usually. But with that convenience, there's like I don't know, man, it's just, a lot of it's a distraction.
Agreed.
A lot of it's a distraction. I get separated from the ability to be still as easy, like, and you miss out on a lot of the little things in life.
You get caught up in that comfort zone.
Yeah, and I've been working a lot with this concept lately, but we and a lot of my social media stuff. But we spend so much time as people, and I'll speak for myself. I spend so much time in the chase of certainty, but all the good stuff happens in my life when things are uncertain. Right, so in the uncertainties where all the exciting shit happens, right?
And even though it sounds like it seems like it's a fucking train, it seems like it's a train wreck. You know what I mean? Like, oh shit, nothing's aligning right now. Everything's fucked up. Everything's actually aligning for you. You don't even realize it. Like, everything is there. It's just that the elements are clustered right now. They're a little bit up.
Like, think about yourself. Like, you were doing matchmaking and fighting, and then you did other grappling. And, like, I'm sure at times as those things were ending, it probably seemed like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And then, but then you cruised into things that, like now you're stoked about what you're doing, right?
I love what I do.
So it's like in the uncertainty, we don't know where that's taken us.
Right.
So I really try to actually get excited when things are the most uncertain.
Do you feel like you've had to reinvent yourself over and over and over in some cases?
Yeah,
because I feel like that too. Like, there's times that I wanted to quit. Like, I'm done doing this shit, and then some other element like pops up in the uncertainty time that makes all of the element the right thing for what you're doing, right? But you just have to reinvent what you're doing and go a different direction.
I think that's where I'm like, in those times is where I'm upgrading.
I agree.
And upgrading to be able to be the person that can fit into this new life, wherever this life is taking me. Whoever I was probably couldn't exist in wherever I was going, right? And so those tumultuous times is where you're growing.
I agree.
Is where I'm growing, and then I'm able to fit in the shoes that I have to fill, when the time comes for things to settle again.
You recently got married.
Yeah.
Is that more stress to you now, knowing it's... Because before, tell me if I'm wrong, but you were really pretty much careless. Just like you took care of yourself. You didn't have to worry about shit.
Yeah, I was having a good time, man. Just banging tourists and living the island life.
Hey, man. Yeah. I like the terminology is dead on, bro. Like, you're hitting it. You know what I mean? And how old are you now?
38.
So, I mean, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. And then, you know what it was? It wasn't like a choice, like, oh, I want to settle down. It's like, I met my wife, and yeah, I enjoyed spending time with her. I didn't want it. It was just different, It was just
100%.
different. It was a person I was willing to settle down to be with.
Yeah, you have to enjoy who you're with.
Yeah. So once I met my wife, and it's just opened up a whole new set of challenges and chances to upgrade and become a better man, a better human being. It's challenging. Being married for me is it's challenging. It was definitely easier being single for sure, but at the same time, it's rewarding. Like, the challenges are rewarding. Whatever was easy I'm not growing in that stuff. So while things are easy, it's like, man, when things are easy, I'm just wishing things were exciting again.
You think that's one of the reasons why you left and went to Thailand?
Yeah, and that's the reason why I left Thailand. It just got too easy. Okay. I just like to constantly chase progression, and when I feel like I hit sort of lulls in that progress, I know it's time to make a move.
Good.
Yeah.
Now that you're back,
Yeah.
you teach at a couple different places.
Yeah.
And
So
one being Alianza Eastlake.
yes.
And one being Alliance MMA.
Yes.
What do you do at Eastlake?
So Eastlake, I teach a no-gi class on Tuesday nights, and then on Saturday I teach a fundamentals class in the morning, and then I teach a no-gi class after that. So I'm not there too much because I'm quite busy at Alliance MMA, but I actually really enjoy working with like the general public as opposed to fighters. Sometimes it's a nice little change of pace. Yeah.
Fighters is difficult, man, and I'll be honest with you. That's part of the reason why I left the fight game. I got really, how can I put this? I was burned out on the fight game.
Sure.
It's really, it can be really straining and stressful, and not because the guys aren't good guys. They're good guys, but it's really, really hard to deal. Like in the fight game, everybody has an ego, and it's an ego that needs to be there to be on top of the world.
Got to have a chip on your shoulder.
100%. But whenever that ego overspills into the people that are closest to you or in your life, especially those that are managing you or looking out for your best interests at all times or making sure your medicals are done and all these variables, that you have to get done in your normal day-to-day life in an effort to be able to fight and be licensed and sanctioned, some of those things become overwhelming, and a lot of times the athlete or the fighter begins to take it out on all those around them,
Sure.
And that is whenever it becomes tedious. And whenever things, for me, what I've recognized over the last 20 years of doing this is whenever things become tedious or they become unfulfilling or not fun anymore, I don't want to do it anymore.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I'll just walk away. Like literally, I'll walk away the next day. And I think that's where I really was with MMA. And MMA, I loved it. I was at every show every weekend, and we did all this matchmaking for hundreds of shows, and all these variables. And man, I met some of the most amazing guys in the world fighting MMA. But at some point, it became so tedious, and it just wasn't fulfilling and fun anymore. It's because it was like everybody was a superstar, even your amateur guys. You know what I mean? Like the amateur guys are, well, I'm a superstar. I need sponsors now. Dude, you haven't done anything, bro. Like, I hate to say it, but no, I need a sponsor, but you haven't done anything. Like, your name is nothing right now.
Sure.
But they want, 5,000 and 5,000 and for a purse, and that makes it difficult.
What I think happens with a lot of fighters, first of all, usually if you end up fighting in a cage, even as an amateur, something didn't go right in your life.
Yeah, I've always said that. Yeah,
it's a broken lot on the whole, right? There's some people that
there's definitely something different about MMA guys. Like you, even boxers.
Yeah,
well, you're locking yourself.
It's a different mindset.
So
you're locking yourself in a cage.
A lot of them, when it becomes a profession, a lot of them don't have anything, right? So there's
Very
a lot
much.
of broke ass fighters that are even established that are broke, right? When you don't understand how money works, you just think like, oh, I'm fighting, I should have sponsors. Yeah, but what are you going to offer that sponsor? What value is that sponsor getting out of you? So the fighters very rarely look at the value they're offering. They just want.
They want to reap
I want the rewards, but I
right.
don't want to offer any value. And I had that attitude too. And I get it. It's just a real poverty. It's
poverty driven. I get it.
Poverty driven. That's how poor people think. When you don't have anything, you don't understand that you have to have value in order to receive money. Like that's how we make money, right? You do something
100%.
valuable.
It's a cycle.
Right? You do something valuable, and then it reciprocates. Whereas fighting, let's be honest, being a fighter is not that important. If MMA disappeared today, right, the world would go on just fine.
Right.
Now, and I love MMA. I love fighting. It's my
And it's
life,
crazy
right?
because the truth be told, like, and I hate to say this, but MMA is on a downward slope.
Sure.
And I know this
For some
sounds
time now,
crazy
I think.
for some time, and I say this because I look at the overall value, and I really appreciate you coming on today because you have a theoretical approach in a lot of things that you do, and I really appreciate listening to the value of the theoretical approach that you have because you add some value, a lot of added value in your approach to the way you're seeing things now versus 20 years ago. And I've known you for about 10 to 12 years, give or take.
Sure.
And in that time, I've watched you grow as a person, physically, mentally, and even, just evolve in this whole theory process and transitioning from an MMA guy, to a super, super hardcore wrestler and to a coach. And now, you're coaching a lot. You know what I mean? And I think that those factors, like, as a whole, if you look at it from a big perspective, you get to see the differences and the evolution of all these things that have happened for all these people. And without those theories, or that history, and you going through those processes, you wouldn't be able to pass on the information that you have
man.
now.
It's all valuable.
Right,
It's all
100%.
relevant. Yeah, everybody's in their process.
Well, I've known you since you moved over here,
Yeah.
and I've seen you at. I know you don't drink.
Yep.
You don't do drugs. You've been sober for many, many years now.
Yeah.
So I seen. you
Damn,
when
I
you
thought
used to
I was
go-
the only one.
No. He's the same way, just like you, man. So I've seen you grow. I mean, I know we don't talk all the time, but I knew you when you were hanging out at the gym.
Yeah.
And
Living at the gym.
Well, I
Yes.
didn't want to say it.
Yeah.
But yeah, living at the gym and
Yeah.
hanging out with all these dudes, just watching them get totally fucked up every
Yeah.
night, and you would just sit back, and get
Yeah.
a kick out of it.
Yeah.
And I
Well, let's think about this. There used to be like 20 MMA gyms around San Diego. So not only were we the mecca for jiu-jitsu, we were also the mecca for MMA.
Yeah.
There was easily 20 plus gyms in San Diego alone that just focused on MMA.
Sure.
and there's only
And now there's two
standards
left.
Yeah.
Alliance and Arena. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so back to what I was saying, I just never thought, I thought you were gonna come back. I do watch you online. I do read some of the stuff you put online, and you could tell that you have changed a lot.
Yeah.
And your whole thought process is different now. And when I saw you get married, I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Even Day, I was with Day a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about it. He says, hey, did you see he got married? I'm like, yeah. And we were both looking at each other like, damn,
Yeah.
he got married.
Yeah. It's
Part of adulting and growing up. Some people,
Right, no,
some
yeah.
people find value in it.
When I was fighting, I didn't like myself very much, like and that's kind of what fueled because I think being so broken and having such a broken childhood, fighting for
It's
me
easy.
when I was it's easy, and it gave me an identity on the street, right? So when you got no love at home and people are showing you love because you can beat people up, right? Like, oh shit, right? And so like I would thrive off that high. I would get high off it, When I was like in the streets, like I would beat people up for no reason, just because
Yeah.
people would clap for me. You know what I mean? Just because it made me feel loved and it made me feel good. And then you find martial arts as an outlet, and then hopefully, or training, and then hopefully you stop fighting on the street, which is the case, right? I stopped fighting, I stopped being involved in crime and street shit as I started to progress into training martial arts. But the problem is I didn't get to the bottom of that self-loathing that was inside of there, and I stayed really unhappy. And I just got tired of one day I just realized I was an asshole, and I didn't treat people well, and I was selfish, and I was a coward, and I didn't like looking at all that stuff, and I said, well, this is the truth of the matter, and I had to get honest with myself, and so what am I going to do about it? And so I started taking steps from there forward to be less and less of those things every day, and it's an ongoing process.
Did you do therapy?
No, I do a lot of spiritual work. Like I
It's
work,
okay. It's still a therapy. It's still a personal therapy.
I
You know
do
what I mean?
I do a tremendous amount of work. I do a lot of research. I work with. I have some spiritual mentors that I work with and through.
I like it.
I've been in recovery for 15 years from drugs and alcohol. So that's also been quite helpful. Yeah, man, it's just been an ongoing process for me, and it continues to evolve. And I try to, because I can spot that stuff in myself, I can see it in the fighters that I work with, and even the just the hobbyists.
Oh, and you can call bullshit on them right
And
off the bat.
I can kind of and I can spot it because I've had it and maybe even still have it, and I can try to help them through it if that's something that they want to do.
I think that was one of the hardest things and part of the biggest reasons why I walked away from MMA too, because I could see so many flaws in the guys and I wanted to help them, but there's only so much help you can give whenever they're not listening. You know what I mean? And a young mindset, as an older person, you can add so much value to them and coaching them into the good times. But they have to be willing to accept the communication that you're going through. So
Absolutely.
communication is a great thing. As long as the person that's accepting the the wavelength on the other end can thoroughly identify and understand what it is that you're communicating.
Yeah.
And if they don't, you're banging your head on the wall because unfortunately they're not going to get the message and it's not going to relay properly.
Yeah, and I've learned that the hard way. Sometimes my ego will get the best of me, and I'll want to fix guys that don't want to be fixed, and I really don't do that anymore.
Or you put too much energy into them.
Yeah,
and that's hard because it's
invest
exhausting
energy.
for you.
Yeah, that's in a place that it's just not paying off, and it's not doing them any good. So that's why ultimately when I want to become financially free enough to to just kind of travel and train and coach remotely. And I have guys that'll follow me all over the place. Like I have guys that I was coaching in Phuket that have followed me out here. They've followed me to Australia for weeks at a time. So I'm just going to be doing like remote fight camps, and the fighters that I choose to work with can join me wherever I'm at and come train.
Well, you've had an opportunity to work with some of the most talented MMA fighters out there. You know, Dom and Brandon Vera and Phil Davis and
Jeremy
Jeremy
Stevens.
Stevens. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. You've had the opportunity to work with the best of the best in MMA. What message do you send to guys that are coming up that are still trying to break into this level of achievement for themselves? You know what I mean?
Well, amateurs or
amateurs are even starting to go pro, you know what I mean? Like, because you got to have the right mindset, man. You got to work with the right people, because I'm going to tell you something. You come from a half-ass gym, you're going to get half-ass results.
Yeah. Right.
You know, MMA, it's a little bit different than jiu-jitsu, you know what I mean?
Are you asking, like, how do you deal with the new up-and-comers? Or
what message does he send to them based off of his history? I mean, this dude's got a lot of knowledge, you know what I mean? Yeah. What message do you send to these young bucks?
You better make sure you love this shit, right? Because fighting oftentimes won't love you back.
Facts are facts.
You better. It's a cruel bitch. So you better.
And it's a short.
It is
short run.
It's over before you know it.
Right.
So you better make sure that you love this shit. So I got a kid Stafford right now. Right, he trained with me out in Thailand. I've flown with him out to Australia to fight. He's come out here. Didn't even know if he was gonna have a place to stay. Like, he mops the mats to take care of his, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, 19 years old, away from home. He's from York, England. You know what I mean? Like.
And he's willing
and
to. He's willing to sacrifice and eat shit to chase his dream.
He rides a bike from Del Fiero's house to get to the gym most days. You know,
I get
that's
it.
not around the corner.
No, not at all. That's Spring Valley, all the way to Chula. Yeah, that's not a short ride.
So like, that's if you don't have that, if you don't want to do this as bad as you need to breathe, I would shy away from this.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
That's dead on.
Yeah, this has got to be like in your soul, you know. And the moment I lost that, I knew it was time to hang it up. And not that I physically and wasn't capable of continuing on. I just knew that whatever it took to put into a fight camp the right way, I wasn't willing to do that anymore. And I see that happen a lot. The minute you're not willing to be away from your wife and family for fight camps, and I see this happen to the highest level guys. They get comfortable, right? They get a family, they settle down, and the hunger leaves. And
I agree.
And when the hunger leaves,
and unfortunately, some of them prolong their careers way too far, and it ends up hurting them.
Yeah.
It hurts them.
Tarnishes their legacy.
100%.
So, yeah, be hungry, and get around people that are gonna, get around people that are better than you. If you're the best guy in the gym, leave that gym. Even if you're getting all the attention, leave that gym. And I'm talking about if you're at your mom and pop gym.
Right.
You got to get to a place where people that are going to be able to bring you along, because you know what? There's a lot of coaches out there that mean well. They just don't know much,
Right.
And it's not an ego thing at all. Just like
No,
go into
you're
your local
dead on.
like boxing club or even like your high school wrestling team. It's like the coaches are not that great, man. They're just not that great, and they mean well. And by all means,
Well, in a lot of cases, those coaches were just high school wrestlers at best. You know what I mean? And they're and to be honest with you, and it's not. They're doing an amazing job, dude. They're teaching kids to the level that they know.
Yep.
Right. And maybe other stuff that they've learned along the way with camps and stuff like that. But you can't be an elite level D1 wrestler like Phil Davis if you didn't go to an elite level D1 school.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And come out to be on top. And then be that next person. And don't get me wrong, like, you can go and work with somebody like Phil Davis and improve your game tremendously, right? Based off of his reputation and his legacy. But you got to put the time in with those people. You know what I'm saying? You didn't do it. You don't have the credentials. Like, I just feel like the validity and credibility is everything. And without those actual credentials, you can't say that you were there.
Sure.
You just can't.
Yeah. And another really important thing for young guys, and I don't hear this talked about much except for a few coaches that I respect a lot, is periodize your training. So
I agree.
Don't try to do MMA all the time, right?
It's too hard on your body.
Build your skill sets, okay? Build your skill sets. If you're a good wrestler, leave the wrestling alone for a little bit. Work on your boxing, right? Work on your jiu-jitsu, but work on it for weeks at a time so you can put in a study. I couldn't study 3 languages at the same time. You know what I mean? I would learn a little bit of the basics of all. You're not going to get real in-depth knowledge unless you study something, right? Really break it down.
Focus, yeah.
And that was one of the things I had the ability to do in Phuket. The way I had things set up was when guys weren't in camp, I would be like, all right, you're focusing on striking for the next couple weeks, so I don't really
Right.
want to see you in any of the grappling workouts. You're just going to be striking and working on sparring. And yeah, I think that's really important if you really want to grow your skills, particularly when you're young, because, man, once you get into the upper levels of the pros and the turnarounds start getting a little bit quicker for fights, you have less learning time in between
agree.
fights. When you're in camp, you're not getting better.
No.
Right? When you're in camp,
You're
getting
focused
ready
on
to fight.
cardio and you're getting ready to fight.
Getting
That's
in
it.
shape, game planning.
Yeah.
Getting in shape, game planning, tweaking. But you can't make drastic changes in camp. You're
I
going
agree.
to fuck up your confidence. Like learning something new is not good for your confidence until you master it. Mastering something new is great for your confidence, but that takes time.
That's 10,000 reps.
Yes,
That's 10,000 reps every single time, man. You got to say your ABCs 10,000
Yeah,
times
it's a lot
learn
of
that
fucking
stupid
up.
song. That's a lot of fucking up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't want to walk into a
Yeah.
fight with that head.
Well, and I speak a lot. I like the way that you transcend or you teach various things. Like your shin to shin, stuff like that. Those things that's New World Jiu-Jitsu. A lot of people don't realize that, but that's New World Jiu-Jitsu. You know what I mean? And you got to be willing to go in there and make your shins bleed.
Yeah.
Okay, to understand shin to shin jiu-jitsu. Okay, whenever you're passing that guard, that shin to shin no-gi shit is legit.
Yeah.
100%. You pin a leg, you pass the guard, man.
Yeah.
You pin a leg, you pass the guard.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to clank shins for 40 minutes drilling,
Yep.
it's not going to work.
No,
You're
not at
never
all.
going to improve the base. With that, I think that the theories behind it, like if you're not willing to do those 10,000 repeat steps, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
And
And statistics are everything.
You know what's crazy is, and speaking about that, it's not the young guys that aren't willing to do that shit. It's the veterans, right?
Right, I agree.
So there's a lot of guys that are super successful that have horrible basics, right? And so, and then you look around and you're like, and then you'll try to address them on basics, and they get kind of upset a lot of times, or dismissive, and it's like, well, I've gotten this far, and the mindset is I've gotten this far, not realizing, but you could go so much further, right?
Because the ego finally kicks in and they've shut everything else
Yeah,
out.
and so, and this is really common once people have become masters at certain things, like going back to the basics almost seems insulting.
Tedious and
Yeah,
insulting.
and,
Agreed.
Which is a horrible attitude, in my opinion,
I
to
agree.
have. Like, man, if you're a veteran and you've been around for a long time, your strides are not going to be made in learning new things. It's going to be polishing up old things.
Agreed.
Right? It's going to be in cleaning up the because listen, you come into MMA. How much time do you have to learn all the disciplines and master the basics?
You're
right,
lucky.
of
You're
each
lucky
discipline?
you really get to master one discipline, and all
Right.
the other ones are extras.
Supplementary.
You know what I mean?
Right?
Supplementary.
Okay.
100%.
So, what if you could master the basics of 2 disciplines?
Phenomenal.
Right? What if you could master the basics of 3 disciplines? Right? So, if I could bring a fighter and some guys are absolutely willing to do that. Like Jeremy Stevens is a guy that's always open to learn. And I had a conversation with him about this the other day. He had a great fight with Yair and just recently, and he's still so hungry to learn. Like he's so stoked to get back in the gym.
And I think that's why you see his evolution lasting as long as it has.
has,
Like he
yeah.
is still going strong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He is 10 years deep now into the
Yeah.
UFC.
Who
You know?
are some of your favorite guys to work with? You mentioned
Jeremy,
Dom earlier.
Yeah, Dom. I like working with Dom because it's a challenge. So,
Isn't Dom like? I absolutely love Dom because Dom has the most unorthodox, amazing style. Like he's that guy. I don't know if you played football growing up, but like he's that quarterback. That you would go at him and you're like, I got him. You're dead on to square him in the chest, and all he does is he goes like this.
yeah.
And he moves one little sidestep where he turns his body like this, and you miss half of him. And you're like, shit, I missed him again. But Dom is that guy.
Dom is interesting. Dom scares a lot of coaches because Dom knows so much.
He
right?
is amazing.
So, because most athletes are just like, okay, that's the coach. I'm just going to listen to what he says. But Dom will often challenge things or offer, and it's intimidating to coaches because he knows a lot about a lot of different things. So I like the challenge of working with Dom, and obviously we were teammates before I was coaching there. So we have a good history and a good mutual respect. And I've actually learned some of my biggest life lessons in martial arts through Dom. But I really like working with Jeremy Stevens. When Danny was still fighting, Danny Martinez,
I love
obviously,
Danny.
is one of my best friends.
Yeah.
So He was.
Danny's
great
getting ready to
work
move,
with.
isn't he?
Yeah, Danny's moving.
Where's he
soon,
going now?
San Diego. I believe he's moving to
South
South Carolina.
Carolina.
That's right. He did say that.
I've got a guy now that's signed to Bellator, Terry Brazier. He's one of
Okay.
my guys. He'll be fighting in Bellator London.
So you're
in
also
November.
managing guys now too, right? You're managing a little bit plus coaching.
I help out
Or a
with
little
some of that stuff. Yeah, a little bit. I'll probably move into some of that stuff a little bit later
Right.
on. Yeah, man, I have a bunch of guys that nobody's even heard of that I love working with.
And that's
yeah,
awesome because
yeah.
those are the guys that are hungry.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that you actually benefit from and you actually get something out of them. And it's not like, I don't mean like getting something out of them. I mean like they want to learn. They're hungry to learn, you know?
So we were talking about this the other day, and I hate to sound like, well, when I was, your age, but
When I was catching the bus.
because it's because it's so annoying. But as MMA has gotten as huge as it is, it's also gotten diluted with the people that come into it, and that doesn't mean that the fighters that aren't here today aren't great, because they're great and they're they continue to get better, right? But the hunger in the average fighter that I see is less and less. Now there's still some guys that are hungry, but when we were all living at 3rd and K, you had a room full of guys that nobody ever heard of that were beating the fuck out of dudes that were highly contracted in the UFC. Nobody's ever heard of them. These guys would have stabbed you for your. I would have stabbed most of the people that came through there for their contract. Like if that was on the table, if I could stab this guy and take his contract, 100% that guy was getting stabbed. And just hungry, hungry to take that next step, hungry to kind of chop their way up the totem pole, and it was. Yeah, man, it was just an interesting time, man. That
So that was fun times back then
Yeah,
for
it
you
was
guys.
great.
Yeah, I remember everybody was upstairs. Some of you guys downstairs. It was
Yeah.
Well, I think the
So
hunger
interesting.
level is different, right? The hunger level is different because everybody is living under the same roof. There's no outside interests that are distracting you for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Most of the guys are single.
Yeah.
So it's a really weird, because you could be thinking about something theoretically at 2 o'clock in the morning, and be like, hey, bro,
Yeah.
let's go downstairs and fuck this up real fast. You know what I mean? Let's try this. I think I figured something out that might work. And your boy goes, well, come on, let's go, shit. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, who cares? Let's try it. And I think that
Now I have my wife for that.
now, babe, come here. I need to try
she's
this
a blue
out real
belt, so
fast.
we do. Yeah,
It's good,
she's
yeah,
a
yeah,
drilling
yeah.
partner.
So
I'm sorry, go
I
ahead,
think
go
that just opens up doors. It allows you to see things from a different perspective.
Yeah, and I think it was on top of that, it was like feeding off the energy of
Oh,
one
yeah,
another,
for
you know?
sure. I
I
can
think
agree with
that's
that.
the thing, is that reciprocal energy is huge, man.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I mean when we're talking about get around people that are you want to get around that energy, man. If you're around, I hate to use the term losers, but if you're around
No,
low,
100%.
low
100%.
low energy people, you're gonna be low energy. It's hard to feed off. Even if you got good energy, man, that people will suck you dry.
100%.
But yeah, getting around high energy people, like if guys come into workouts I'm running with like a puss on their face, I'd rather just tell them to go home. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
I agree.
Yo, fucking come here. You want to get a job? Like go get a job. If you're gonna look like that, go work in a cubicle.
Bro, you got to come in here and want to work. And I mean, we all got our days that we walk in the
Sure,
door and we go,
yeah,
fuck,
yeah.
man. But once I get started, it's
Gotta
on.
get
Like,
fired
I'm
up,
good.
man.
Yeah,
Gotta
yeah,
get
I'm ready to
fired up.
rock. Yeah, for sure.
Well, shit, that's half of my battle, man. When I go train, it's like shit. I really
Showing
wanna
up
go, but
is half the
once
battle.
Once you get there, once I start putting on that gear, it's like, well, fuck it, I better change my mindset. I'm gonna get
Yeah.
smashed, so I
That's
have
it. Right.
to. I still get smashed, but
Oh, 100%.
we talked a lot about MMA, and you run the Alliance MMA Jiu-Jitsu program, and when you left, if I'm wrong, you weren't really doing too much in the gi.
Nah.
So what made you put the gi back?
What changed?
Okay, so initially I put the gi on.
Who gave you your black belt?
Alavo Abreu.
Okay.
Who's directly under Carlson Senior.
Yep.
The old.
Old school. That's
yeah,
old school.
Old school. A part of like the first Carlson Gracie fight team.
Where is he
actually.
based out of now?
Phuket.
Okay. Oh, he is
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Alavo is. Yeah.
Okay, Alavo is. Okay, yeah.
So he gave me my black belt. And then I actually need to meet up with Neil Melanson to get my black belt under him
Got it.
for
nice.
his system. So that'll be cool. I'm really looking forward to that. He's one of my biggest influences. But
Where is he based out of now?
Neil is at Syndicate
Back in Vegas.
Okay, back in Vegas.
Vegas.
Oh,
yeah.
that's cool. He's up the street.
I put the gi on initially in San Diego because I never wore the gi, but I was meant to fight in Bellator, and then I had some nerve damage when my arm turned off. It got stuck in a claw, and I couldn't open or close my fists for about 6 weeks, so I had to pull out of the
shit,
fight.
okay.
But I couldn't stop training, so I was like, fuck it, I could do the gi. That looks pretty slow. So I tied the belts over my arm, put a gi on, and then went and did a class. Casey gave me my blue belt, and yeah, that was that. But then, I'd be kind of hit and miss. I think I had my purple belt by the time I left here in BJJ. And then I would wear the gi a little bit here and there while I was in Phuket. And then once I retired after about a year of being out there, I started wearing the gi pretty regularly. I was like, okay, well, I'm done fighting. So I did a few Muay Thai fights in retirement while I was out there. But grappling and BJJ became my real passion. Even now, I like teaching grappling and BJJ more than I like working with fighters.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And that's, what's crazy? That's why I focused on jiu-jitsu after that.
Yeah.
I just was burned out. I didn't want to do it no more. And jiu-jitsu to me there was so much, like, people respected each other so much more. And even the recreational grappler, right? It just has so much more respect. And they're hungry to learn.
Yeah.
And everything that you do for them, man,
That's the thing.
The light bulb goes off, man. They love it. They just absolutely absorb.
There's a lot
the
more
energy.
appreciation.
100%.
In the
As a
jiu-jitsu
martial art.
community, as a
As a
martial
martial art.
artist, and just people appreciate your time a lot more. Fighters on a whole, there's some great people in fighting, but fighters on a whole almost just expect it.
Yes.
Even at levels that they shouldn't be expecting nothing but a punch in the mouth.
100%.
Yeah. They still expect it. It's crazy. And, I've gotten better about not taking that stuff personally just because I know where it's coming from. It's coming from a place of brokenness, So it's not a personal thing.
No, but at the same time, you're learning how to trigger your inner demons the right way and being progressive about that, and also knowing that you need to work on yourself. Everybody's got to work on themselves at some point,
Right.
so with some elements.
But you know how it is. You have your two schools. You have a school across the street. You have you deal with a couple 200-300 students. You have different attitudes to deal with, different emotions.
Yeah.
Every day you don't know. This guy might come in today, feeling like shit today. Then you got to worry about bringing him up. Then you got to worry about yourself. Then you got to worry about this.
I think if
person,
you walk
this,
in if he walks in daily with the highest energy in the room, like I do every single day, then guess what? That shit transcends. It transcends through the ranks, like 100%. It changes the morale in the group, 100%. If you come in with that kind of energy as the leader, your students will follow. If you come in as a half-ass instructor and you don't have that energy, your students are going to follow that shit too. And that's the last thing that you want to transcend to them. That's not the message that you want to portray to them.
Leadership's really important.
Leadership is super important. It'll make or break everything. As an executive leader, okay, and this is in corporate America too, if you have shitty management, guess what? The morale of the fucking company is going to be shitty. The guys that work for you are not going to want to work for you. They're going to talk shit and be mad all the time. But if you come in with high energy levels and as management you are good, then the morale of everybody else is amazing. See, first and foremost, I don't let assholes in my gym. I kick them out. I don't need that energy.
You always have one or two in there though. No matter how hard you try to keep
Nah, you
them
know
out,
what?
you have to.
Honestly, I've put everybody out.
Really?
I don't have a problem with that. Fuck it. All money's not good money, man.
No, and at the end of the day, it's not a good investment to have an asshole in your gym
No,
because it'll push good
one
money
piece
out the
one
door.
piece of cancer spreads, bro.
Yeah.
It spreads like wildfire. Whenever they give that analogy, one bad apple spoils the bunch, the whole barrel. That's a true fucking analogy. One person comes into your gym and they're a dickhead or they're a shit face and they sit there and they play these games with the other students. Before you know it, you've got a mob of like 10 students that are pissed off at you and you don't even know what the hell you did. So if you eliminate that process, the minute that you see that person in your gym and kick them the fuck out, guess what? You've cleaned up all the problems.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I've seen people do that, and I've seen people not do that.
And
I've
the
seen
end
people
result
not
of
do
not
that,
doing
and
it?
the end result is bad, man. Like I've seen some cancers be allowed to stick around, and it just doesn't work out, man. It just doesn't work out. Cancers will just take and poison things. So it's being a leader is an interesting thing. It's like it's not about me, right? Being a leader.
No, it's not. It's about your students.
Yeah, and I used to think like, oh, okay, I'm just like, because I know I'm technically like I'm really good at what I do, right? So I can easily walk in with an ego, like, and be like, well, you guys are so lucky about what I'm about to show you, right? And maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But my job isn't that. Like the technical part is cool, it's great, right? But if I can leave there, like, and those people feel empowered after I work with them, whether they're a fighter or
That's the
right?
ticket.
And it's like I want to create more leaders, right? And that's what a good leader does, is create more leaders, not create followers.
And
Like,
you can't
yeah.
be mad whenever that student now has grown into that leader aspect and comes to you and says, hey, I want to spread my wings and I want to do something else too.
Cool, man.
That's what you want to build. If you build that, and you let that person go, they're always going to mutually respect you, and they're always going to be on your team until the end of the time.
Yeah.
You will be their mentor until the wheels fall off. But if you create a hostile environment and you don't let them go, guess what? They're going to resent you.
Yeah.
And as time progresses, they're going to tell you to fuck off all the way.
And they should resent you.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I agree with you.
They should resent you. That happens a lot.
Oh, tremendously.
What do you like about the gi compared to no gi? Because I remember before you left, it was you're strictly no gi.
The gi there's so much to learn. There's so many more positions in the gi. Even though no gi is kind of ever progressing right now.
It is as well too.
Yeah. But yeah, there's just so many more positions in the gi. It doesn't allow me to
And
lie.
a lot of them transfer back and forth.
Yeah,
A lot
for
of
sure.
the same concepts conceptually and statistically transfer back and forth.
Yeah.
You just got to be able to execute them.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the grips change, you know.
Right.
But it's humbling too. It's challenging. I think that's what I like about the gi is I'm not as good at it as I am in the as no gi. Like I'm a good black belt in the gi, you know, decent. But so it's something to always consistently work on, and it's something I'll be able to do well as I get older in age. You know what I
Agreed.
mean? Like how long can you stay a beast at no gi, like and be able to keep up with the best guys in the world? You know,
You have
like
to
I'm-
give it up at some point.
Yeah, I'm 38 right now, so I got another couple of years where I still feel good and I can still, you know, get it on. And I still want to compete a little bit more, do a few.
But you
super
got
fights.
10 years max.
Yeah.
Like the body just starts
Yeah.
to. People don't understand. Like the body, even for a pro athlete, like a football player, a basketball player, or a baseball player, the body finally starts to break down after so many years
Yeah.
of hardcore training like that consistently.
Sure.
It just, you know, you have to know how much you can put your body through, how many times a week you can do it, what your body feels like in its recuperation time. You know what I mean? So on and so forth. So yeah, it definitely. And no-gi is the step down from MMA. It's super aggressive, super fast. You're catching knees in the face all the time. You're getting elbowed in the face. You know what I mean? It's part of the element. It's part of the game. And I'm totally okay with all of it.
Yeah.
But the gi allows you to slow it down even a step slower than that and actually be progressive and enforce your position versus just slip and slide.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't rely on your athleticism, speed, or anything like that. So it literally really focuses you to focus on your technique a little bit more.
Agreed.
Yeah. So I enjoy the gi. I think it's fun, and I continue to progress at it, and I have a good time with it, you know. But I still obviously prefer no gi, and submission grappling is definitely where my passion is.
Let's talk about your newsletter.
Sure.
Where can we find it, and what will we receive each? Is it monthly, weekly?
Weekly. So I'm
Weekly,
doing a weekly
okay.
right now.
If you haven't signed up for it, sign up for it.
Okay.
You can go to my Instagram, which is Erik the Gentleman, one word, and there's a link where you can get the first newsletter on the link, and then you can subscribe at the bottom. So my newsletter is basically a lot of my philosophical writings and findings out about martial arts, about the parallels between life and my martial arts training, because one of the approaches that I have with my coaching, and some people don't like this at all because it infringes upon them, is that I have a very holistic method. And when I say holistic, is I don't look at your life as separate parts, right? So you don't have a gym life and a home life. If your home life's fucked up, your gym life's
fucked up. That's
right?
for sure.
If anything that's fucked up is gonna
Fuck up the cycle.
It's gonna fuck up. Yeah. So like creating some sort of harmonial balance, like of all of them, is gonna make the end product right. If all you even care about is winning, you don't care about even being happy or fulfilled, right?
Those other ones are going to
If
lack.
other things are out of balance, unless you're a sociopath, right, and you just don't care about anything. It's gonna mess up the end product. If you do not deal with your shit and your trauma, it's gonna show up in the cage. I can
Eventually,
promise you that.
for
Yeah.
sure, yes.
At some point in time,
Especially
it
as
will
you get
show up.
older.
Yeah.
As you get older, everything starts to surface. That's all there is to it.
And if it doesn't show up then, you see guys retire and they develop substance abuse problems. They start getting
100%.
into fucking domestic violence. You know, it just like bad things start to happen. And so like, if I'm going to really, really work with you, we're going to get into all that stuff. And so my newsletter is a lot about that stuff. Just the
Philosophical approach.
yeah,
I like it.
I'm really fucked up. Like, so I have to do a lot of work, and I pay a lot of attention to what goes on in my mind. So I sort of track my thoughts. I see where things are coming from. I try to be as honest with myself as I can, and then I try to be as honest with my writing as I can, and let people,
And that's where you learn.
yeah, and let people kind of see that, and you know, let them know that okay, if you're thinking crazy shit or if you have a massive ego, that's okay. Like that's part of the process, and and I've had all those things too, and I continue to deal with some of those things, and
Right.
this is the process I follow to work through that stuff. You may find this helpful, you may think it's fucking trash, whatever,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But
for sure.
but we're just putting it out there, and it seems to be picking up steam. Like people, I've gotten really good feedback from a lot of the stuff.
And
that I
and
put
it's
out.
okay if one person shits on your day, because the truth of the matter is fuck them anyway.
Yeah.
Like the truth of the matter is that if you can help 10 people, and out of those 10, one asshole says, you know what, man, you're bullshit, you're full of shit. Okay, looky little troll, kick rocks. You're gonna be fine. You can
Yeah.
figure somebody else to go fuck with.
Yeah.
Okay, because the truth of the matter is like as long as you have the mentality, keep doing what you're doing, you're going to transcend a message to people, and you're gonna change the way that these guys think about things. And honestly, these are the approaches that people have not done yet. And this is going to make guys go so much further in what they're doing, you know? Because I remember 15 years ago or 20 years ago, whenever we started this MMA stuff, I remember sitting down with people like Wade. Dom hated me whenever he met me. And then Dom later came to me and he goes, dude, I love you, bro. He's like, man, I didn't realize, like, I really hated you in the beginning because you'd come into the shows and you'd scream and yell at everybody and so on and so forth. It wasn't I was screaming and yelling at everybody. I was trying to maintain order in a facility to try to get everybody ready to go for a show. You know what I mean? I need everybody to line up for weigh-ins. I
stressful
need
job.
this, I need this, I need this, I need this. And it wasn't like I was just trying to be a jerk to everybody. It wasn't nothing like that. I never down-talked anybody or belittled anybody. I just needed everybody to quiet for 5 minutes. Let's get this done, and then you guys can go back to what you're doing. You know what I mean? And I think that sending those messages and teaching these guys basically the ropes of how things are going to go over the next 10 or 15 years of their life and finding personal growth in themselves is going to change a lot for them value-wise down the road.
Yeah, I think so too, and that's like one of my goals. If I continue to work with fighters later on into my life, like we'll see. I'll probably just be very choosy about who I work with.
Have you thought about maybe becoming a therapist at some point?
I'm probably more along the lines of a mindset coach, and help people out
You're okay.
with, sorting through their stuff on a one-to-one basis. Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to do more work like that, and I'm looking into doing some certifications and stuff like that just to legitimize things.
I like it.
But
I like it. Well, because then it'll help you relay a message to these guys
Absolutely.
too, even on a deeper level, and then they can look at you and go, dang, not only that, but he actually, even though after everything was all said and done, he actually went back to school too, and he was able to transcend another message to us. You know what I mean? And that speaks volumes about where you've come from, why you continue to fight for yourself, and why you continue to fight for others. And we are always on the learning end of everything, no matter what anybody says. And as long as you're open to that, you can grow. Man, the sky's the limit, dude. You can pass on a message to people and change their lives tomorrow.
yeah, I found no matter where I'm at in life, even if it looks like it sucks, it's like I'm always being put in the position that I need to be to learn the most, right?
I agree.
So whatever I need to learn, I'm being put in the position to learn that. And oftentimes it's not very comfortable, it's remarkable. So even time I'm like, fuck, I wish this would just blow over.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm just even just coming home now, like leaving Thailand and the financial security that I had there, like I was living like a successful drug dealer out there. You know what I mean? Like I was,
100%.
I was living good.
Oh,
Man.
life out there is $100 goes really far out there, dude. Like, you know what I
drug
mean?
dealer.
Yeah, I had like a nice condo, gated community type shit going on, and then he's like, come back here. I live in fucking almost in Encanto, and it's like,
It's a totally different world
yeah.
for sure.
So it's like just the stress of coming back here. It's like, man, it's a different life, but I'm learning so much. It's like so. And not that I want to stay that way forever, right? So what I'm learning now is like, okay, how do I make money? Like, I'm learning about business now. I'm starting to teach myself about business and how to make money online, without fucking people over and actually give them some sort of value, because it's really easy
a
to fuck
tangible
people
item, yeah,
over,
for sure.
right? So I'm learning a lot right now, and these are skills that I'm going to need, but if I'm comfortable, am I going to seek out this knowledge?
Right.
If I'm comfortable, if I'm financially doing good, do I need to seek out further knowledge of how to make money? No, I don't. I'm just going to take that comfortable check I got coming in, and I'm going to cruise on that. Okay, I'm going to make myself uncomfortable. I'm going to go through this whole process. I'm going to move back here. I'm going to fucking go through the immigration process with my wife and do all that, when we're probably not even going to stay here forever. You know what I mean? But it is what it is, man.
How's your wife adjusted?
Man, it's in some ways really good. In some ways it's tough. She's native of Singapore, and so... it's,
Was her family right there though with you guys too, or no? She was away from her family as well.
Well, she was living with me in Thailand, but yeah, she's lived with her family most of her life.
Right.
That's how they're raised. So, yeah, I mean, it's been challenging for her too. You know, super challenging for her too, I think. But she's handles like a champ. She does a tremendous amount of work on herself as well, which is the only reason we could be married. So we're like mirrors for one another. So it's like it's a direct reflection of the things I need to work on.
Right.
Is that things that if something's coming up like in the relationship that's bothering me, it's usually just points to shit that I got to work on.
Right.
You know, and vice
That's
versa.
okay though.
Yeah,
I mean, once
that's what we
again,
want.
that's
Part of growing.
part of our growing at this age in our stage in life is really about complete transparency.
Yeah.
And being forthcoming, right? Transparency, forthcoming, and vulnerable.
Yeah.
And if we're not any of those, if you cannot completely disclose who you are in front of somebody and literally, you know, take off your clothes and be naked. And I'm talking vulnerable to a way
Vulnerability's
that
the big one,
vulnerability
man.
is the biggest thing, right?
For fighters too, man. And I talk a lot about that, like vulnerability with fighters. And that's the thing that crippled my fight career is I was so afraid of being vulnerable that I didn't take risks as far as like matchmaking was concerned and stuff like that. And like that stuff will kill you if you're not willing to be vulnerable in training, like, and get into positions that you're not comfortable in. You're not gonna grow.
I agree.
If you're beating the fuck out of people all the time and winning in the gym, well, that's great until you're not, right? Until you're put in now the lights are on. You're in a position that you haven't worked too much because you're just used to dominating all the time, and you mentally do not know how to handle it.
Right.
Right. So instead of, you know what, some days in the gym you need to lose. Some days
100%.
in the gym
We talk about this all the
you
time.
need to learn and grow. And if you and guys that run from that feeling of vulnerability, that need to sort of secure a sense of who they are, don't tend not to do well.
Agreed.
And it's really just like it's like we were talking about before, that certainty versus
Well, they
uncertainty
plateau. They
thing.
plateau
Yeah.
and then they stonewall. That's
Yeah.
it. That's all there is
Yeah.
to it. They plateau and
Yeah.
stonewall. There's
Like,
no more growth.
You got to chase the uncertainty, man. Chase that uncertainty. And if you want to get better, if you want to just preserve an image you have about yourself, fucking stall, win in the gym, do all that
Yeah,
stuff.
but then you go back to that.
But that goes back to-
you
that
go
goes
back to
back-
that volatile set. You know what I mean?
Not necessarily volatile, but you go back to what you guys were talking about earlier. It's just that's going to be your life. You're just
Yeah,
going to settle.
that's
You're just
it.
going to be.
Some people want
normal-
that. Some people want certainty, and that's it.
Some people
Because
want that
they're
regular 9 to
They're
5.
so scared of going out and achieving, of having to take the risks and it not work out, or whatever it is. They just want the steady certainty. The scariness of uncertainty is just too much, man.
It's too much for most people to
too much,
process.
right?
I read this yesterday, and I posted it actually online on the Five Grappling and also the Honu Insta story. And it says, and I also said, read this again and read it one more time in case you didn't get it, right? If outside validation is your only source of nourishment, you will hunger for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is that so many people are looking for self-vindication and validation online from the uncommon user, people that they don't even know, that's how they're living their lives, based only on that like button, that heart button. And that's not enough. You know, you're going to find yourself not only one, shut off from the world, right? And two, you're not going to grow. There's no growth in the like button, man.
why
There's-
teen
it's only
suicide's so high
100%,
now.
100%.
It's terrible.
Poor fucking girls trying to live up to like
The expectations of these
unrealistic
Instagram models,
Then
quote
you go back
unquote.
to social media. Social media is not. I mean, it wasn't around when we were growing up.
No, I don't think social media is bad. I think the relationship that some people, because if you think about
It's
it,
what they
it's-
take.
I
It's
think
what they
it's-
take from it.
I think they try
It's
to
not bad.
portray all the
I don't
wrong
think-
images.
I don't think
That's
it's
where
bad.
it's bad.
how beautiful is like the exchange of information like
Oh,
that we get
top
from
notch,
social media,
top
right?
tier,
So like
100%.
that stuff is unbelievable. You literally have a whole world of information like at your fucking fingertips now, right? But on the other side of it, it's comparing the highlights of everybody else's life to like your everyday life, and then feeling like, oh, my life is shit, or it needs to be different than it is. Or instead of just being grateful for the life that I have, I could so easily compare it to guys that are doing better than me financially or professionally or whatever it is, and completely disregard like all the gifts that I have going on right in front of me right now.
Yeah, but if you really knew what those people, those so-called
Exactly.
people were really living and how they're
Exactly.
really living, then
Yeah,
it would
it's-
change the whole
people's
dynamics.
highlights are exactly what they are, and a lot of times those aren't even real. You know?
Well, and the
Exactly,
truth
yeah.
of the
I
matter
agree.
is
I
that those
agree with
highlights run out.
Yeah.
You know, everybody has a short career. I don't care if you're a pro baseball player, a football player, a basketball player. The career only lasts so long.
I think it's just in life in general. Like, I think you're talking about just overall in life.
Yeah,
not
like
just,
I'm on this trip,
yeah.
or I'm at this restaurant, or all right, cool, man. Like and I can get caught up in that too, and all that stuff really doesn't matter, man.
It's non-existent.
If I
agree.
can't sit like happily and enjoy a cup of coffee by myself in the morning, or with my wife, and like if I can't enjoy the normal times, if I'm only living for the
Agreed.
highlights, like that's a shitty life, man. I don't want that life, and that's like.
Well, there's nothing tangible there, and there's nothing
man.
fulfilling. There's nothing fulfilling. It's an empty.
Then you
it's
spend your time searching for more highlights instead of just enjoying
Exactly.
like,
and
whatever's going on.
You go through
right
that
now.
struggle just to get to the next highlight.
Yeah,
You
I need the
struggle
next
just to get
one,
to
then the
highlight.
next
Yeah.
one, right?
and it's so unfulfilling. And eventually, you're gonna crash and burn.
You know,
You're gonna have a mental breakdown.
Let's change the topic a little before
Sure.
we let you go. I think we're gonna get out of here pretty soon. Have you heard the new Guru song?
Yes, dope.
You waiting for the album?
Yeah. I hope they're gonna drop more.
He's putting an album together.
Okay, yeah, that'd be
Premiere's
great.
premiere. He's
Yeah.
putting an album together.
Yeah.
The reason I asked that because
Wu-Tang.
his favorite rapper is.
I know.
The Wu-Tang Clan is in general, Old Dirty Bastard, and
That's what I'm getting at. I'm getting at your tattoo there.
yeah. So I'm actually a big hip hop head. I grew up in New York in the 90s,
course.
so it
Of course.
was not really an option, And,
What do you listen to? What do you think of the rap today?
man, it's all got a place.
Mumble rap is
So
garbage.
It's like,
But I
if
get
I want
it.
to go, so if I want to go out, and have a good time with my
Oh
friends,
shit!
like
Hold on, my leg's cramping up.
I don't mind listening to some stuff that's maybe not a little bit substanceless and just fun.
Right.
Right. Am I gonna listen to that around the house? Probably not. Mostly around the house, you're gonna find a lot of just New York City '90s hip hop. You're gonna find a lot of Wu-Tang. You're gonna find a lot of like you said, Gangstar, Guru, old Jay-Z, old Biggie records, and then like a lot of like more obscure stuff that people probably wouldn't be up on. But yeah, a lot of that stuff. But then, that too, like I do scavenge for a lot of new music, and like I listen to like a lot of like.
There's a lot of good shit out there with
R&B,
banging
but you
beats.
have
There's a
to
lot of
look
bang. You
for
just
it,
got to
though.
look
You gotta
for banging
look.
beats.
You
Yeah,
gotta look.
there's only so much Kendrick Lamar out there. You know what I mean? Or
J.
Game
Cole.
or
Yeah.
J. Cole. There's just not a lot of that because
Well,
that
it's not
that-
pushed, right?
True.
So
It's
there's
not
a
on
lot
the
of good
radio.
music out there, but it's not pushed. Like
not on the radio.
The crazy thing is that when I grew up, all the good music was actually you just turn on the radio and
You
you'd
pushed
hear
it, yeah.
good
It was on
fucking
the radio.
music.
Now
that
it's
was
just
being
not out
pushed.
there like that, right?
Yeah. So now, like the stuff you're getting pushed on you, and it's even interesting watching music now. A lot of artists are going independent that were
They don't sign with record labels at
yeah,
all.
they're just putting out their own shit.
putting out their own
streaming
shit,
it
streaming it,
themselves.
keeping
and
the
like,
money.
yeah, that's
Yep.
gangster, man. Like Ghostface just put out.
Oh,
his own
Chance the
shit.
Rapper did a big
Yeah.
ass interview. Me and him actually watched this interview the other day on the Breakfast Club, and it was phenomenal, bro. And he talked about keep all your percentages to yourself, man. There's a breakdown of this many percentages. You know that they're supposed to give up this money to all these people. Manage this shit with somebody yourself. Pay that person.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't sign with the record label. It's going to take 80% of your fucking intake. You know what I mean? Keep your fucking 80%. Stream that shit. Stream that shit out to everybody. It'll hit. If it's supposed to hit, it's supposed to hit.
Yeah.
Before you know it, you got a cult following all over the place. You got 29 million views on one fucking video.
Right.
And I mean, Lil Dicky, I think he's done
Yeah,
an
he's
amazing
good.
job
Yeah,
with
he's
that
nice,
shit.
too.
Lil Dicky's dope, man. He's one of those guys.
Watch him go on like Sway in the morning. And
Oh,
his
he
freestyles
tore.
on
Didn't he
Sway,
tear his
yeah.
freestyles
Every time
out of
he's been
control,
on there,
bro?
man.
Every
Yeah,
time
yeah.
he is phenomenal.
He's nice.
Even
You know?
Logic, he killed that.
Yeah.
Logic
the
is
five-
another
the
one.
Five, was
Logic
it
is
five
nice.
fingers or
Yeah.
five something on
Yeah,
Sway.
5 Fingers of Death.
Five
Yeah.
Fingers of Death on Sway.
Yeah,
He
shit
killed.
is
He
dope.
killed that. Logic killed that.
Yeah.
But you're seeing an interesting transition in music. I agree with you. Where everybody's streamlining, they're getting smart about the business. So the record company's gonna start going under. There's no way around it.
TV too.
Oh, TV's
No
done.
TV
Yeah.
anymore. Like, do you watch a show on TV anymore?
I don't think anybody does. I haven't had
That's
cable
streaming.
in probably
And
5 years.
If you do watch a TV show, you're watching it on Netflix or on.
That's why the
Amazon.
UFC went to the app,
Oh, 100%.
right? So
I
they were
agree.
ahead of the curve. While everybody hates it right now.
No, the app is
TV ain't gonna be there no more.
100% of what it should be, because I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you something. The NFL's already went to the app.
Yeah.
They're still tied up in the contract, with DirecTV and AT&T, but unfortunately AT&T bought a company that they didn't really want, and they're losing their ass on it right now because based on customer
They're trying to
service.
give it away now.
They're trying to give it away now. They're upside down on it, and so I'm thinking that contract with the NFL has got to go away soon, because MLB already has their own app, and you can watch baseball every single day.
Yeah.
I watch the Dodgers every single day. He'll tell you, I'm a faithful every single day. I'm watching the Dodgers. And I pop that app every single day.
Yeah.
Bing, bing, bing. And I pay for it
That's
for the
where
year.
it's at.
Now
you got your direct advertising that you want.
100%.
Right? Yeah,
100%.
it's
And I think I said this about, 10 years ago. the company that comes out with a package for, let's say, $30 and only gives you 25 channels that you really, really want is going to be the winner.
Yeah.
But now that that's kind of bypassed that too, everything's just went to straight streaming. I mean, most people are okay and content with just watching fucking Netflix.
Yeah.
They really are.
Dude, Netflix
you know?
is great. For
I
the
mean,
most part.
between that and the few things that you want to stream online here and there, and every major network has went to an app now at this point.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah, TV.
you're at the mercy of that. Yeah, for
And
sure.
that Epics, I just started watching The Godfather of Harlem. I don't know if you started watching that.
No.
It's a
Haven't
really
seen
good
that
show.
Oh, sounds good.
About Bumpy Johnson.
Oh, okay.
Really
I gotta
good
check
show,
that out.
man. Yeah.
Sounds cool, man.
All right, man. All right, let's
All
just wrap this up. Tell people where we can find you.
Yeah, most of the
Social
stuff
media?
right now, you can find me at Erik the Gentleman on Instagram. If you want to follow my newsletter, like I said, links in the bio. Just click, read the letter, subscribe. You can check me out with all the stuff that I'm doing with the Alliance MMA Fighters and the jiu-jitsu scene locally. Hopefully you'll see me doing some grappling competitions in this upcoming year, maybe some super fights and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
we got the
that's about
Super
it.
League coming out at the beginning of next year. I'm still setting a date right now. I got a meeting this week. I got to go by and meet with the theater and kind of square some things up. They got some new management there, so I got to figure out what's going on there. But we'll have it together here soon.
And we have an all-women's tournament coming up in January.
Nice.
So
Very cool, man.
If I'll send you the link if you want to
All right.
talk to your students.
Yeah.
Talk to your wife.
Yeah,
You guys,
absolutely.
come on out.
It's
Sounds good, man.
You know, the women's movement I think is here finally. They're talking about it. They've been talking about it for a long time, but statistically the women still weren't showing up. And now I think with this big push, especially right before this last ADCC and right after, I think you're going to see a big change in women actually competing. You know, even just the recreational,
Yeah.
person that wants to, the soccer moms basically that are doing jiu-jitsu because their kids are there. Even they're starting to compete a little bit, and even it's only once in a while, man. It's still better than nothing.
Oh,
I
hell
think
yeah.
I think everybody should compete at some point, at least once or twice, or at least
Absolutely.
once at every belt,
Yeah.
right? Just so you can break down a fear that you would have of what you're doing.
Right. I just think after this ADCC, the women's just gonna grow because
I agree.
you had some really good quality women.
Oh, they were
in this
phenomenal.
tournament.
Bia, Fiona, Gabby obviously has just reigned supreme, for a long time.
What's her Bia? I can't even pronounce her last. Bia.
Bianca Basilio.
There you go.
Yes,
Her.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
She is phenomenal.
Really, really good.
Phenomenal. Tayani, Jess Flowers. That list goes on and on. The women's group is really up and coming.
And
And-
last night on Fight to Win, Kaka and
oh yeah, Catherine's
Talita,
phenomenal.
they,
And Talita is a show every
they were the
time.
main event.
Talita, what a lot of people don't realize with Talita brings the heat no matter what, every single time she steps on the stage. You know what I mean? That's just who she is, and she's not going to shortchange that. She's going to put on an exciting show no matter what. She's going to give all or nothing out there. You know what I mean? And so yeah, she's going to go out, and same with Kaka. Kaka is the same way. She's a beast, dude. All or nothing. That's all there is to it. So.
All right, Eric. Appreciate
All
it,
right,
man.
gentlemen,
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
All right, man. I
your
appreciate
time.
your time. For this episode or all of our episodes, check out 5grappling.com. We appreciate you guys for stopping by today. We'd like to send a shout out to the Guahan Grill for allowing us to host here today. Jiu-Jitsu Life as part of the restaurant series that we decided to come up with, and I think this is going to be a lot of fun. We got to have some really awesome food today here at the Guahan Grill. You can check them out in Oceanside, Point Loma, or Imperial Beach in San Diego. And with that, we're out. Everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you soon, all right?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it, man.
We would like to thank our sponsors, 5 Grappling, 5365 Media, 5 Forward Foundation, 5 Superfoods and Shaved Ice Company, Hono BJJ, and the Fuji Mat Company. Without you, we are nothing. For this episode or any of our episodes, check us out at 5grappling.com or follow us on social media at 5grappling. If you're watching this video on YouTube or listening via podcast, don't forget to click the subscribe button below. Thank you for your support. 5 Grappling. Compete, evolve. Real people, real stories, real life. 5 brand.